So we're going to talk about loops for a little bit. We're going to talk about the while loop and the for loop. I could make this a little bit bigger. Okay. You've already seen the while loop, but just in case you don't remember, I'll show you a quick example. So first, with while loops, you need a variable. X equals 0. Sure, why not? I'm just making it up. Doesn't really matter. Just an example. While x is less than 4, or less than or equal to 4. Oops, need a colon. Print x. Sure. Run it. It goes, oh no, panic. Oh, because when is x not less than or equal to 4? Never. So it went on forever, because we need to have an increment. We need to make x bigger, or we need to adjust x so then at some point this statement will not be true. So it'll stop, otherwise we're stuck in an endless loop. So let's add 1 to x every time we run it. Plus equals 1, or 2, or whatever you want. So we'll run it again, and it prints it 0 through 4, as expected. While loop. Old news, we know how to do that. P.S. You do a one-line comment with a hashtag and a multi-line comment with the 3 double quotes. 1, 2, 3. So let's say I have a list of student names and I want to print them all out. How would I do that? Well, you do a loop. So I said a list. How do we do a list? Well, you know how to store just one thing in a variable, like name equals Bob. Sure. Easy peasy. So we have a list student names, multiple names. We do the square brackets, which is the key just above the enter key. It's the same key as the curly braces, you just don't hit shift. And we start typing in some names, like Anna. Outside the quote, you do a comma. You must have it outside the quote. This is just your separator between things in the list. Carl. Now. Sure, those are our names. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see. And we want to print them all. Let's do for name in student names. Print name. Let's break this down. I just decided my counter guy would be called name because it makes sense in the situation. So you're saying for each name, you say for each name in your mind in student names, or your whatever your list name is, colon, do the things, whatever you put down here that's indented. And I just decided to print them out. So we hit run, and it prints them all out. You have to do it in a for loop like this. If you just try to print student names, it's going to print it just like this, and it looks all weird. This looks much cleaner and nicer and more like how you would actually want to print something out. Another word for a list is an array, and also it doesn't matter if you have a space here or not. It just might look better one way or the other. But yeah, in Python they call it a list. In other languages they call it an array. That's just the name for it. When you see the square brackets, think some sort of list. You can do this with numbers as well. Say we have a list of numbers, so I'm going to say numbers equals 1, 2. I just want to make my math easy, so I'm going to say for each num or x, whatever I want, each num in numbers, could say print num. And it's the same thing. Well, maybe we don't want to print a bunch of numbers, maybe we want to add some numbers. So I'm going to instead say sum equals sum plus num, which says take the current value of sum, add num, whatever num is, to it, and then store it back in sum, which, makes sense for your sum. What's the current value of sum? Oh, we don't know yet. So we need to make sum at some point, either up here or just before we try to use it in the for loop. So sum equals 0. Why not? We add it, and nothing happens. Oh, it's because we didn't tell it to print out or anything. Since we're going to go over here, and I just backed it up, so it is no longer indented, so it's not trying to do it in the for loop. Say print sum. We run it, and it prints out the sum of 1 and 2. And that is while loops and for loops.